This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed. Shop now for a limited time. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
This episode is proud to be sponsored by Now, where you can stream Sky Sports flexibly. Catch the biggest games this season how you want, when you want. The football season is back, and you can keep up with all the action on Sky Sports with a Now membership. Whether you're perched on the edge of your sofa or hiding behind it, you can capture more of the drama this season with Now. The heat of the moment, the 90th minute winner, that last-ditch tackle, the pride on the line, and the best bit, you can dip in for the derby or stay for the season. With a Now month membership, you can stream all Sky Sports channels flexibly. No fuss. Go to nowtv.com to find out more about sports memberships. 18 plus, UK only. Minimum speed 2.5 megabits per second. Live scheduling may be subject to change. Full terms apply.
This podcast is sponsored by AMG Logistics and in association with the Birmingham City Official Supporters Clubs. I'm your host, Craig Courtney, and we're looking forward to the next Blues game and finding out what our opposition fans think. Sit tight and enjoy the next edition of The Away End. So, good evening. Welcome to another edition of The Away End. Wow, how times can change. So, we've recorded a few of these where we're going, Birmingham going to win away from home, and wow, they've won 2 on the bounce. It's quite of a shock for us as fans because we haven't experienced this for quite a while. And of course, we've had the transfer window. So things have changed within the squad. It's fair to say Birmingham had a proper upheaval, losing quite a few players, but also bringing in some really young, eager players for the future, but also in our starting lineup. So, Saturday, 3 o'clock at St Andrews at Knighthead Park. I haven't been able to say that very often, but I can say it this time. And not just that, Chris Davies is returning with his team to take on a Leicester City side who, no doubt Brad will cover in a minute, really are struggling in the Championship. And currently managerless, which I'm fed up of saying it when we're playing teams nowadays. So the Blues enter a run of 3 consecutive home games, albeit really buoyant after their away results. 2 league games coming up against Leicester and West Brom. Watch out for the away ends for those. And of course, Leeds United in the FA Cup, which is going to be fun. The team has also been strengthened during the transfer window. And as mentioned, we've also seen a few faces leave. But the final day, we always like to get a signing on the final day, and Blues didn't upset us this time around. Jonathan Panzo joined us on a short-term deal playing on the left-hand side of the defensive centre partnership. But not just that, for me, the best piece of business that Birmingham could have completed during this window is the permanent signing of already fans' favourite, Patrick Roberts. And what a deal that has been. So, after a successful window, we now look towards the second half of the season. Leicester, though, have also strengthened across the window in an attempt for them to try and change their run of form. With 3 losses and a draw and a single win in the last 5 league games, Leicester find themselves 17th in the league and on 38 points. Now, that might seem bad, but then you look at the record overall. There are now 24 Championship games where Leicester have conceded. Not just that, they now sat in the bottom 3 of form over the past 9 matches. The question is, will things change? And no doubt we will get to find out a little bit more. So we're joined this evening by Brad Perkis from the Leicester Till I Die podcast to review the upcoming game at St Andrews at Knighthead Park on Saturday. So Brad, first of all, thank you very much for joining us. I know you've been chucked in the deep end because the boss has decided to take themselves on holiday. So you can out him now if you want to. But don't worry, I won't edit it out if you don't want me to as well.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having us on. It's always a pleasure to come on and do these away videos and preview the game. And yeah, I'll out him. Yeah, you get one step closer to retirement, and the man's usually hands-on, and this year he's just slacking the boat, isn't he? Lanzarote for like the 19th time this season. I mean, in a way, I can't blame him. I'd want to get as far away from our season as possible, the way things have been. But there's a little bit of hope, false hope, if you want to call it that, and light maybe at the end of the tunnel, because we obviously didn't have any transfer action during the transfer window because all four of our signings were announced the following morning. Obviously, that was due to EFL paperwork and just clarifying it, but technically, I think we're one of the few clubs that announced signings prior to the close of the window. And the most impressive one might sound obvious, but it's really obvious for Leicester fans in terms of what he brings to the club. And that is Jamal Lascelles from Newcastle, 12-year servant, strong captain. You know, he started his captaincy in time at Newcastle when they were struggling. Mike Ashley era, they were relegated up, down, yo-yo club. Got them back from the Championship and has kept them steady ever since. And yes, he comes with a bit of a track record of injury. Yes, he's 32. So you're looking at that and going, well, why is that such a major signing? We couldn't find a leader in that dressing room if you paid him to find it. Honestly, we've got a so-called air quote captain in Ricardo who couldn't capture a rubber dinghy in a rapids race, or if he was the only team in there. Honestly, I love Ricardo, brilliant, talented footballer, but his legs have gone since his injuries, and we need a leader in their dressing room. And his first statement was, I'm after that 1%. I will always chase it down. I won't take no slacking. And he just comes with a great pedigree. Newcastle fans are singing plaudits about him. I can imagine 12 years a servant, never let them down.
Birmingham was linked at one point with him. So, you know, when you think about the calibre of player, I think fans do and will always have snapped him up. He does come with that little bit of, like you say, experience, knowledge. This league, may I add, you know, he's got the experience of getting out of this league. But, I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned that it feels as though you haven't got that leader, and now hopefully he is going to bring it. So do you think he is going to come straight in and, dare I say, will he become captain?
I wouldn't put it past him. I think he deserves it. I mean, not only for his, you know, not only do we desperately need it, but something I've been saying on our channel and talking about it, because we have our discrepancies with Ricardo being captain at the moment. I said what this club is desperately missing is a leader on the pitch and a dressing room leader. You know, Vardy and players from that era, that 5-6 year period where we were not ultimately king of the castle in terms of everything, but if outside the top 6 clubs, we were the favourable club, weren't we? I think everybody has a little bit of a soft spot for Leicester during that period of time. We had an on-field captain, but we had Wes Morgan in the dressing room. And people might have looked at Wes Morgan's last 3 or 4 years and thought, why are Leicester keeping him around? Is it just sentiment? He could drop down a division. You know, he could go to, you know, a Leeds or someone like that and probably help them play more games than that. Why is he staying? Because we needed his voice. We needed his guidance that he brought from being captain of Forest and being our club captain for so many years. And we needed to transition that into the dressing room. He might have only played 4 games in 3 years for us, but not only did he not let us down when he played, but you could tell he was having an influence on that players. And every ounce of every word that Jamal Lascelles has said since he's walked through the door and sat down in front of the camera. And I get it, you know, sometimes people go, well, he's bound to say that, Brad, because blah, blah, blah. But there's certain things that, you know scripted, and you know that was pure passion. And the way he said it as well just makes you think, I'd have him playing Saturday. If he's fit and ready, I'd have him up against you lot on Saturday. Because I think he's the sort of bloke with his stature, his build, and his knowledge that anyone that's maybe not in the greatest of form or was hoping to come up against the broken Leicester back four is going to go, oh, of course they put him in there. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Just because you know what he's capable of doing and what level he's been playing at, he comes into this team, whips up a fury for the next 2 or 3 days of training and gets given the captain's armband. The last thing I think you want to be is that team that gives Leicester the 3 points boost to get themselves back on track under Andy King. So that's why I love it so much. That
and I've got to say, going into this game, as a Leicester fan, I think, bar everything that's going on at the moment, you've got to be looking at it on a positive side, because Birmingham seem to just have you as our bogey team. I look at our record overall, and we've won 51, we've drawn 26, but we've lost 62. And then you go back over the last 5 games, 5 losses from a Birmingham perspective. We people will go, we owe you one. But there's just something about Leicester. They seem to be able to get a result against us, which, don't get me wrong, I'm desperately hoping on Saturday we can turn that around. But definitely look at it as you being our bogey team. Last time we played, obviously 2-0 win at your place, where I think it's fair to say there was like 20 minutes where Birmingham were on top, and then after that, turn the screw, off it goes. You had your single man that decided he was going to rip our defence apart. Then our defence on the left-hand side didn't exist. And off you went. But I still couldn't get one thing about that day. And I'll ask you now before we go on to talk about the Leicester team as it is, but the booing of Damari Gray when he came back, why was that, considering he was part of that team and that squad that won the Premier League and went on to do really good things? What is it? Just they didn't want to see him come back? What is it? Why booing?
Got a few bits of insights. First of all, he wasn't very popular with the fan base, despite coming through our academy. He was we got him. We got him off you guys initially. And then he never really hit the ground running. His childish attitude stunk the place out a bit, but he was bigger than what he was. Look, there's a reason he moved to like 3 clubs in the space of a year and a half. How he ended up at Bayer Leverkusen, I don't know. That was the weirdest thing I ever saw. And the fact that you guys have now brought him back home. But I'm going to let you in on a little bit of information here. I actually worked for the club for a fair few seasons, and during that title winning time. Now, Ranieri would not let them players just pretend that staff were below them and didn't exist. They had to acknowledge people if they saw them. We were respectful, stayed out of the way. But where the players' lounges, where they go before kick-off and do a warm-up and chill out for a bit for a game, it's right past an area where I worked. I won't say what department I worked in because it might have moved, and B, just it's not relevant. It's out of the way. You can't get to it from the public eye anyway. So anyway, as they were walking past, Damari Gray and another player, and this is why I particularly don't like him, was walking down the tunnel. It was the start of a new season, so they were coming in for some pre-season games. And he was talking to someone, and they said, yeah, but Bournemouth 20 million. And he went, oh, yeah, but I'm worth more than that, aren't I? I just don't think I'll go. I think I'll stay here. And I thought, you arrogant little prick to think you're worth more than what you are. You're a subpar bench player, best. Now, I'm not saying he's not getting your team and playing well. He did. That was the annoying thing with Damari Gray. You wouldn't play him for 8 weeks. You then get tired of Rashid Gazelle and say, well, play Damari Gray, you might as well do it. He'd play well for 3 games coming off the bench, then you'd start him and it'd be like starting with 10 men. He just always had an ego and an attitude above his pay grade and above his his skill level. He is.
We haven't seen that, I don't think, since he's come back. Whether it's
Well,
because Golders Club and stuff.
yeah, maybe he's on a run of confidence. Maybe it's because that's where he was originally from. He's got a lot more time, and maybe it's growing out of him. But we had young Damari Gray. And I know there's other youngsters that are like that, but maybe we just had the Damari Gray that thought he could be up there and really should have measured his level to here. Because he's not a bottom tier player. I'm not trying to say he's not, but he was always a player that, you know, you felt could get through the fringes, but maybe let his ego get the better of him. I don't know. But that's why Leicester fans are a bit tepid. I know there's some fans that don't really care, and they clapped him or didn't react to him coming on or being named by the announcer when the team sheet was read out. But I personally experienced that little tippet. So it's like when you hear your own player say that about themselves, I'm all for giving yourself a bit of credit, but Bournemouth weren't exactly a lowly Championship side. They were Premier League at that point and 20 million. Despite how things have gone in the transfer markets these days and ages, 20 million for him back then was still a good price to be getting for him. So I don't know what he was doing or saying then, but hey ho.
Fair enough, and that explains it. I mean, when it comes to it as well, I will say that he has been injured, so I'm not even sure you will see him on Saturday. I don't think he is quite ready to return. However, as with all the injuries and different things at our club, you know, we never find out until the last minute ourselves. It's an interesting way of doing it now, but, you know, when a player's out, a player's out. You don't hear anything, and then the player's back. And that's why the club have changed it around. So it will be interesting to see on Saturday. So tell us a bit about, then, what can we expect that's different from Leicester from the last time that we played? Because what I always remember was front foot, attacking play down the wings, a striker that was on fire and everything he touched ended up in the back of the onion net. But things just seem to have changed. Now, is that managerial? Is that players? What is it, do you think, that's not clicked? And again, like, what can we expect on Saturday?
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side, your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed. Shop now for a limited time. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
There are a million reasons people start therapy. A breakup, burnout, a new job, whatever your reason, there is one place to start. Grow Therapy meets you where you are with support that actually sticks. Whether it's your first time in therapy or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits you, not the other way around. They connect you with thousands of independent, licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person sessions, nights and weekends. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. And if something comes up, you can cancel up to 24 hours in advance at no cost. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0, depending on their plan. Grow accepts over 100 insurance plans, including Medicaid in some states. Visit growtherapy.com/start now today to get started. That's growtherapy.com/start now. growtherapy.com/start now. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
Your guess is as good as mine. I'll be perfectly honest. No, in all seriousness, it's a bit of both. Obviously, the management style of play, formation, which was so bizarre because I'm all for a manager coming in and making their own changes and change things up. But we lost pretty much every game, barring about 6 last season, playing this style of play in this formation, and then Marty comes in and changes nothing, and then is surprised that we're inconsistent and struggling down at the bottom of the league. It's like, well, come on, Marty, get a clue, and he never did, and that's why he's out of a job. Unfortunately, I'd love to have said to you, and I'm sure Andy King would love to say to the Leicester fans, that's what I'm going to do if I'm in charge of this club. When we played Charlton, but 15 minutes into that game, McCauley knackered that, and any plan we had of seeing anything different. I'm hoping what you don't see is what we've seen for most of the season, which is excuse me. Great timing for my cough to come back, eh? Which is sideways and backwards everywhere we go, which is a chant that has picked up under Marty.
I'm saying nothing because up until
I know you don't need to.
Birmingham fans were doing the same.
You guys have already been singing it yourselves.
Yep.
I think we might have stolen it from you because it made more sense for us. But what I'd like to see, first of all, is Andy King did say you can't change everything in 1 week. And I agree to an extent. I think he could have at least changed maybe the formation. But he wanted to work on things over the next week or so. And obviously, we never really got to see what his potential game plan was and how he might have changed things up during the game against Charlton. Because once you go down to 10 men so early, the game plan, like he said, just went straight out the window. You might as well throw all your notes and hard work out, really, when that happens. We've brought in youth alongside the experience of Lascelles and Aribo, which, to be fair, with Aribo, it was an obvious signing we needed to make with James and Ramsey out for the foreseeable, probably another 6 to 8 weeks, knowing our luck as well. We need that centre midfielder. He brought Harry Winks from the cold. Whether that's more out of necessity than it is a revival in him, because he hasn't played for us for about, again, another 8 weeks or so. He hasn't played because he fell out of favour. Again, another Damari Gray sort of situation. Apparently, he was spouting on about joining Seville in the summer, and some players didn't like that, nor did the staff. But regardless, he's been brought back into the mix. So we'll both find out on Saturday how much is really going to change, because Andy King did take our pre-season, because we were obviously in that period where we had to wait to sack Rude for finance reasons, and then we were looking for a new manager. So 90% of our pre-season was done by the sports scientist team and Andy King, and we actually looked different and actually looked good and energetic. If he's managed to implement that and we get 3 out of the 4 new signings starting on Saturday, you might see a different shape. You might see a different lineup, because our strikers couldn't hit a barn door if they were stood in a field, if they were stood around a really rodeo. It's ridiculous. So bringing in a 20-year-old to maybe add some pace and some new style to it. Obviously, Warren's signing was essential in terms of the depth and the injury crisis we're having at the moment, and the leadership. I just think we need somebody who's not going to clap his hands like a seal when we're 2-0 down after 12 minutes, like we've been about 47 times this season. He's actually going to galvanise them and rip the absolute arse end out of them, pardon my French, if they're not doing what they're told and not what they're instructed to do. So, style of play, formation, I'm hoping it changes, but I can't tell you, because we were hoping, obviously, to get a sneak preview of that against Charlton, and like I said, that unfortunately got took out of our hands by a player. So, New players, maybe, I'm hoping. Otherwise, they're pointless loaning in if they're not starting them straight away. But as for anything else, God help us. Because if we play the same way we have done all season, it's going to be the easiest 3 points you'll get.
I mean, I'll be honest. I am seriously shocked to kind of hear this from a fan of a team that, let's face it, everybody touted at the start of the season was going to be the team to be promoted again. It was going to be the bounce. And I know you went through the turmoil of the different things at the end of the season and the financial implications that were there. But we still expected Leicester to be there or thereabouts. And it really does. It comes as a bit of a shock. But then I look at the whole of the league and nobody... Coventry 5 weeks ago, 8 points clear at the top, and everybody's like, they're going to walk with the league. And now they're joint top. Mm-hmm. And it's like, wow, how things can change. Yeah. And I think it's the same for anybody in any team that's there or thereabouts. You know, things are so close that you all can beat each other. On the day, you can have a phenomenal game. Then the next one, you can be down at the doldrums. And, you know, it's fair to say, across the festive break, Birmingham hit rock bottom. You know, the game at Watford was an utter disgrace. And the players knew. And they had to turn it around and they had to come out firing, which they have done since. Sometimes it does take that point of no return. You can't get any worse to actually kickstart things. So you never know. Like you say, you could go into the weekend and you could have your new signings on the pitch and you could be on fire. I'm hoping that we see that same team that doesn't start very well and then we can get a goal and then all of things get a bit more rosy. So, I mean, you've mentioned a player there who I admire. I think he's a very, very good player in Harry Winks, and I think he can turn a game on a sixpence. Seen it on many occasions, and then things have changed again. But who should we watch out for now going into the weekend? And obviously, I know you've got your new signings, some of which have only just come through the door. But who do you think is the strongest point in your team, and where do you think the biggest weakness is?
If your team isn't using ClickUp, you're wasting time, and data proves it. 61% of knowledge workers manage work more than doing it, switching apps 1,000 times a day. That's work sprawl and costs millions. ClickUp replaces 20 apps with Convergence, uniting projects, docs, and chats, while AI super agents handle the busy work. Join 4 million teams using ClickUp to finish work 30% faster. Try it free and get 15% off AI upgrades at clickup.com/podcast. That's CLICKUP.com/podcast.
Well, our biggest weakness, take your pick. Because it's either up front or it's a dopey mistake at the back. Having said that, our most promising players that maybe don't do too much untoward, that you're not talking a player that we're saying is going to score 20 goals a season or 20 goals and assists, should I say, a season or anything like that. You're not going to see him pull up too many numbers on the top 5, top 10 championship player in terms of clean sheets or anything like that. But the two players that I'm really impressed with this season most consistently when they've been fit and played is Ben Nelson at the back and Lewis Page in the midfield. Lewis Page he's probably at that age as well where he's on that breakthrough list with Jeremy Monga, who maybe hasn't featured as much as Leicester fans would have wanted, or we even thought he would. I mean, after he got the youngest championship goal, you're welcome, we'll take that off your hands, sort of thing. Because didn't you add? Yeah, you did with Jude Bellingham. So we'll take that trophy. You'll never sing that.
We'll let you have that one. It's all right. We'll let you have it.
Oh yeah, cheers, pal. Appreciate it. No, but he hasn't really kicked on like we were hoping. Jake Evans has obviously gone out on loan, which is a bit baffling when you like two strikers have got 4 goals between them. That we haven't given him a chance to go in a team, but obviously now we have this other youngster, so we'll see. But for me, Lewis Page has been consistent. He's had to step in there when a donkey of a Frenchman's played ahead, called Samare. When Harry Winks has been throwing his toys out the pram, or there's been a bit of discontent, so he hasn't been picked. Then they say these youngsters, you've got to take the opportunity when it comes your way. Well, Aaron Ramsey being injured, James Jordan filling in one gap, but also is now injured. And like I said, with all the other turmoil going on in midfield, he's taken it by the scruff of the neck. And he might not be fancy. Like I said, he might not get you 10, 15 goals and assists, but he'll drive through the midfield. He's not scared to go at players. He don't care if you've got 13 games experience or 130 games experience. He's going to run at you and believe in his ability. Oh. And then Ben Nelson at the back, probably the only and most reliable member of our back four we've got. So if you can find a way past him, you probably score, which tends to be the case with most teams that come up against us, especially in recent weeks. But they're the two players I look out for consistency, because the obvious one's Fatawu, but I think everybody's done the homework on him and knows how to shut him out now. That's why he's not scoring as many and he's getting fanned out a bit. So yeah, Lewis, Page, and Nelson, because I can't really separate them in how consistent they've been.
And your biggest weakness, would you say? Is it? I mean, from what I think,
everywhere else on the pitch.
Everywhere else.
Everywhere else on the pitch. Can I not just say that? Our formation, our style of play is our biggest weakness, is our biggest Achilles heel. And that's not a joke. That's not me like not wanting to. It genuinely is our biggest Achilles heel. We are playing a system that was manager preferred and not squad preferred. And once you do that, you're up against it. If you've not got a budget, which we didn't, we still have not spent a penny in either transfer window. I'm not sure if we're still the only, I'm not sure if that makes us the only club in the Championship to do that. I know there was only 3 or 4 that hadn't in the summer window. But if you've not got, say, 50 million to go and chuck around and get yourself 3 or 4 signings that play your style and play it well, I think if you're a good manager, you kind of read the room and you make the changes. So our biggest problem is we've had a manager that goes, yeah, you lot will learn to play crap football, sideways and backwards and slow football, even though you've got Mavididi, you've got Fatawu, you've got Ben Nelson who likes to go forward from the back, you've got Ricardo when he's not being held together by sticky tape and blue tack, can run. You've got these young, fast players, but we want to slow you down to a dull vor and sorry, my hair's a mess. I had a shower about 10 minutes ago and all I keep seeing is it having a mad one on me. But it's a mess like Leicester season, so it sums us up perfectly. But yeah, honestly, I could pick at every other player for other reasons to say why they're our weakness. I suppose our left back. If you go down that left side, Luke Thomas is garbage. I'm afraid I love him because he's one of our own and he was thrown in the deep end at the start of his Leicester career in the relegation season. But he's just god-awful as a left back. And maybe the change in tactics will play into his strengths. I've got more chance of winning the lottery out of putting on a ticket, I feel. But who knows? On the pitch, I'd probably have to single out Luke Thomas, but really our main weakness is playing football the Marty way because it just doesn't suit our squad.
No, I think that's fair. And you know what? There's nothing more honest than what you hear from a fan as well, because at the end of the day, you're the paying people that are going to see a game of football and want to see change. And when it doesn't happen, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
We've been there, we've done that. We've got multiple T-shirts, got through that, we got ourselves relegated down to League One. What we've got now is obviously a man that you will know, and knows your club in Chris Davis, and he's now learning his trade more than ever. Last season, it was a walk in the park. It was fair to say it was. We had a squad that was well and truly above anything that was there, which was why we set the records, why we won the league. This season, he has been caught out on a few occasions, but he's learning. We've got to remember it's still only his second season as a full manager as such, and being number one. Yeah. So he really is beginning to learn, but he's got that uncanny knack of pulling the best out of people. And I think what we're seeing now is a team beginning to gel. We've brought in a few new faces. Solis in midfield, wow, what a find he is. Being, he's only on loan, and he's this Colombian that's come in, and you look at him first of all, you're thinking, God, he's got legs like Bambi. He's all over the place. But no, he knows how to read the game. He gets himself involved, roughs people up, and then he can pick a pass as well. So we've got that. And I mean, our winger, Kai Wagner, and I say winger, he's playing at the back, but he might as well be a winger because the way he comes forward, he is the ultimate deliverer of a ball. And he held the record for the most assists in the MLS. His first game, you come in and he put a crosser on a sixpence for Dutch to put away. So, that's just what we're beginning to see now. And Stansfield on Saturday chucked his dolly out the pram when he come off the pitch, and he had a real go. I wouldn't want to be Leicester on Saturday because I think he was that frustrated.
Never would we.
He's going to come in and he's really good. He's going to be, for me, he'll set his stall out and he's going to be, do you know what? I'm going to have one of them games. And fingers crossed that's how it is. So we get to that point there then where you're not going to want me to ask you, but I've got to ask you. What does your head say the result will be? And what does your heart say the result will be?
My head says purely on the basis of the fact that we were robbed of potentially seeing anything that Andy King would do differently. It's going to be the same status quo. You know, we haven't kept a clean sheet since Crystal Palace, I wish, since Coventry at home, which is still surprising, even now. My head says Birmingham 3-1.
What about your heart?
Same, but the other way around, 3-1 Leicester. Because we were going to concede. It's just natural. You know, death, taxes, and Leicester conceding. They're the three guarantees in life. But yeah, my heart says 3-1 because Andy King will be like, this is what I wanted you all to do. We'll have Jamal Lascelles scoring a brace. And I knew 20-year-old lonely striker will bag in a third. And then, I don't know, Jakub Stolarczyk will beat one of his own net because that's what we do.
I mean, I said on our show on Monday, and I've got it down in my prediction league, that I just think we owe you one. And I think this is the time to play Leicester at the moment. You know, I do think things will turn around for you, incidentally, but I just think this is the gelling time, and we've probably got you at the right point. So, I mean, I've been very close to your prediction, but the only thing is, I've said we won't concede. So I've actually gone for a 3-0 win to Birmingham. And I just think our home record is great. The full house that's going to be there again, and obviously a good following from Leicester, will make it a really good game. But I just think you fail. And it's that point, and like you say, if you can score one, then let's just say the tank could be opened and things progress. But we will see, because I've said it on many occasions, and actually we've ended up with a dull and drab 0-0. So, you know, I'm never very good at predicting. So there we go. There's a bit of hope for you. But no, Brad, thank you very much for joining us on the away end. We are sponsored by AMG Logistics and in association with the Birmingham City Official Supporters Club, details of which you can find at www.bcfcosc.com, or just search up your local area and see if there's a club available. Fantastic benefits for just £10 a season for up to 65-year-olds, 65 and over, just £8. And God, if you're 0 to 16, you're free, but get all the benefits. So have a look, see what you think. Brad, thank you very much again for joining. I hope the rest of your season after Saturday gets better. But as always, have your worst game possible, please, when you come to St Andrews at Knighthead Park.
I'm sure we will.
If you're travelling, safe journeys. And for all Leicester fans that are up, safe journey as well. Look out for the new fan parks. Have a squidge around and see the difference since the last time you came, because things really have changed. And I'll sign off as always by saying, keep right on.
This episode is proud to be sponsored by Now, where you can stream Sky Sports flexibly. Catch the biggest games this season how you want, when you want. The football season is back, and you can keep up with all the action on Sky Sports with a Now membership. Whether you're perched on the edge of your sofa or hiding behind it, you can capture more of the drama this season with Now. The heat of the moment, the 90th minute winner, that last-ditch tackle, the pride on the line, and the best bit, you can dip in for the derby or stay for the season. With a Now month membership, you can stream all Sky Sports channels flexibly. No fuss. Go to nowtv.com to find out more about sports memberships. 18 plus, UK only. Minimum speed 2.5 megabits per second. Live scheduling may be subject to change. Full terms apply.
ClickUp just solved AI's biggest problem, and it's saving 4 million teams from productivity loss every day. Unlike ChatGPT and other AI tools, ClickUp converges all your work into one platform, so your AI super agents have full context to prioritize tasks, execute workflows, and draft documents instantly. Teams using ClickUp finish work 30% faster and cut meetings in half. Try ClickUp for free today and get 15% off AI upgrades at clickup.com/podcast. That's CLICKUP.com/podcast.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.